This next piece is section 2.4, part B. It's on factoring by grouping. When I factor by grouping, I want to begin, first of all, noting that you can only factor by grouping if you have exactly 4 terms. If you do have 4 terms, you're going to split your 4 terms into 2 sets of 2 terms and factor the GCF out of each pair of terms, then factor out a common binomial factor. Okay? So first split your 4 into 2 sets of 2 and factor each set. X squared and 5x both have x in common. So I take the x out and I'm left with x in the first term plus 5 in the second term. Plus xy and 5y both have y in common. Factor that out. I'm left with x in the first term plus 5 in the second term. Notice that you have binomials in common now. So you should be able to factor the x plus 5 out of both sets. If the x plus 5 gets factored out, the first set is going to have x left. The second set is going to have plus y left. So you're left with x plus 5 times x plus y. Let's try it again. 2 groups. The first group, I've got a squared plus b plus 2b. Those have a b in common. If I factor the b out, I've got a squared plus 2 remaining. Next. Leading term is negative, so I always factor out the negative. Negative 3, a squared, negative 6 have negative 3 in common. So divide out negative 3. I'm left with a squared, and a negative 6 divided by negative 3 is a positive 2. My binomials are exactly the same, so I can factor out the binomial. A squared plus 2. In the first term, it's going to leave me with b, minus in the second term, it's going to leave me with 3. So I end up with a squared plus 2 times b minus 3. Check it. If you multiply it all the way out, you will get back to the original if you do all 4 parts of your distribute. 2 more to look at. Let's look at the first 2 pairs and the second 2 pairs in this next one. So that's 10x squared minus 12y. Those have 2 in common. If I factor that out, it's going to leave me with 5x squared minus 6y. Leading term negative, so always factor out the negative. 15 and 8 can only be divided by 1, so we're only going to be able to factor out the x. And it will leave me with a negative x. It's going to leave me with 15 negative into positive makes that negative 8y. So here, I don't have a binomial in common, which means I'm not able to factor further. Sometimes the way that the question is pre-ordered is not the way that it needs to be so that you can factor it. Sometimes you need to rearrange the terms before you can get it to factor. So let's try just switching the order. Let's try to put the 10x squared and the 15x squared together. So we're just basically going to switch the order of these 2 terms and put the 12y and the 8xy together. Okay? Might have to reorder. So let's try it as 10x squared minus 15x minus 12y plus 8xy. Let's see if it factors a little better in this order. And if not, we'll switch them again. Okay? First 2. 10x squared and 15. They both have 5 and x in common. Leave you with 2x. And 15 divided by 5 is 3, so minus 3. Negative, because the leading term is negative. 12 and 8 can both be divided by 4. And they both have a y, so by negative 4. Negative 12 divided by negative 4 is 3. And then positive 8 divided by negative 4 is negative 2x. Okay? I see I didn't get it on this try either, but I'm super, super close. 2x minus 3y. Here I have 3 minus 2x. These are opposites. So if I just switch the order of these 2 terms, I think I'm going to finally get there. This wasn't it again. Okay? Sometimes you have to try a few times before you can get something factored. So 10x squared minus 15x plus 8xy minus 12y. I'm sure this one's going to do the trick. Group them again. Factor the first 2 and the second 2. First 2, they still have 5x in common. If you divide out 5x, you still get 2x minus 3. Second 2, leading term is positive, so I factor out a positive. It's still going to be 4y. When I divide out 4 this time, I'm left with 2x. When I divide 4 out, I'm left with minus 3. Now they absolutely match. They're exactly the same binomials, so you can factor out the 2x minus 3, and it leaves you with 5x plus 4y. So let's try one more, and I promise this one's not going to be as long because I think that these do factor in the order that they currently are in. Okay. Two groups. 4nm times 28m, they both can be divided by 4 and m. It's going to leave you with just n. And then 28 divided by 4 is 7, so plus 7. N plus 7 has nothing in common, so there's nothing that you can factor out besides 1. So you'll say plus 1 times n plus 7. However, that's fine because n plus 7 is what I needed to have that parenthesis anyway. So this one's going to factor as n plus 7 as the common binomial. Removing that gives you 4m as your first term plus 1 as your second term. And that's done. That's the end of part B.